All right. Testing, 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 test, 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 testing, 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 testing. I think I did enough of that. All right. Let's do this thing. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Phoenix Inkwell. My name is Will, Chief Storyteller here at the Phoenix Inkwell, where I hope to encourage you through creativity and sharing some of my journey to be able to help encourage you to explore your creativity and your own creative journey as well. So today is December, which means that NaNoWriMo is officially over. It's all done. No more. No more. So I took a couple of days after just to kind of reflect kind of on what I learned, you know, what I enjoyed, what I didn't enjoy, what I'll try to do next year, what I won't do next year, all that good stuff. There was quite a bit that happened. Just so you all know, my final word count ended up being just under 28,000 words. You should be able to see that like right here. And that was just in the main manuscript. There was a couple like one-off things that I did that ended up equaling the words that I did in total to be just over 30. So, you know, people say words are words, and some people say that, you know, the old school nano thing is you have to write 30, you have to write it all in the same project, otherwise it doesn't count. And then the new generation of people are saying, hey, words are words, doesn't matter however you write them, they all count. So I'm kind of deciding to go with the second one because I feel like that's a bit healthier. So I guess today I wanted to kind of share with you all what I did learn so we can go ahead and maybe encourage you in this next several months, because as I shared at the end of the last vlog, I mean, Nano is kind of really the start. It's not an end. It's not the end all be all by any means. What did I learn? What did I learn this NaNoWriMo? So the first topic is that I learned how important a daily writing habit is. I think the daily writing habit was probably the thing that, out of everything, was probably the most important piece. Sometimes, you know, when you're doing a habit, it takes several days for it to get into sync and to do some stuff. There's a really good book out there called Habit Stacking. Again, I'll try to put that here. And that book kind of talks a lot about how you sort of create habits and then you stack them on top of each other. Because a habit takes about 21 days to actually build. And basically you build habits that relate with that habit. So let's say for NaNoWriMo, you're doing, you know, you've written for 21 days, you can add another writing habit on top of that. In a lot of ways, I guess my secondary habit is this YouTube channel, in a lot of ways. So at this point now, it's not just a daily writing habit, it's also a weekly videoing, YouTubing. So it was kind of important to be able to recognize just how important that daily writing habit was, and it allowed me to be able to write more than I've ever written in a month. In combination with a lot of the other stuff that I've talked about in previous vlogs, with, you know, staying in flow state, you know, being creatively inspired and all that good stuff, and actively aiming to be those things, helped me to be able to write that those 30,000 words this month, which I had never done. It's pretty amazing, at least to me anyway. The second topic was the importance of writing together. I gotta say, one of my favorite things out of NaNoWriMo was just the community that was around it. We had a Discord that we were a part of, that we made sure that we went to write-ins, we attended each other's writing streams. The people that were in my I was gonna say failed, but it wasn't failed. It actually happened, and I did get some writing in my big catch-up stream. The people that were taking part in that were people from the NaNoWriMo Discord that I was a part of. There was also just the forums and the messaging, and I also found out there was a Facebook group that I was never aware of. So just joining that and just being able to take part in that community helped in those moments where it was tough to write. There were a lot of moments this month that writing would have been insurmountable without the community. There was a lot of things that just went on personally, that many times took a lot of my energy away. It took a lot of my creative spirit, and a really great way to buy back into that creative spirit was being able to go to a write-in and join together and do a lot of writing. There was also the benefit of things like writing sprints, which, if those of you that are not familiar with that, a writing sprint is designed to be you set a timer, and in that amount of time, you choose the amount of time, and then in that amount of time, you just write really, really fast, as fast as possible. And when you do that, it encourages you to write, but then it also makes it kind of fun, sort of like a game. And then at the end of it, you share how many words you wrote, and they sort of rank it with other writers, which is kind of cool. So there's a little bit of a competitive thing there, but it's all just in jest and all in good fun. So writing together was a big part of NaNoWriMo, and it encouraged a lot of moments where I felt really discouraged and not really feeling like writing. So I wanted to kind of, also say thank you to all the people that were a part of that too. They made this great. It does lead into my next topic though, which was also very big, was the importance of writing alone. Sometimes writing can be very, very lonely, and especially when there's stuff going on in your life and you're not feeling super great. Writing alone can feel very difficult to do. But there was also just moments where I found that writing just by myself, I wrote a little differently. So for scenes that were maybe a little more difficult to write in a group setting, because you were pouring some of your personal self into those particular things, writing alone helped a lot with that, where I was able to just kind of be in a space of there's no one else around me, there's no one else here. I can write and I can decide whether or not I want to keep it. And there were some cases where I decided to keep it and some where I decided not to, and it went into the circular file. Not saying that you couldn't do that writing together, but the other major benefit is that if you also know how to write alone, you can fit your writing into a lot of those smaller spaces where maybe you don't have a big event like a write-in or a writing sprint going on. If you're by yourself, it would also just be able to allow you to just put in the words. And I found that being able to write by yourself and fit those words in those smaller moments was very, very helpful. They build up over time, hence the 30,000 words this month. So going forward, topic 4. So word count is completely irrelevant. I know that seems a little counterintuitive to the whole idea of NaNoWriMo. You know, the idea is that you go out, you write 50,000 words in 1 month, and you feel awesome about it when you do it. But at the end of the day, the actual count of how many words you wrote isn't really the main point. So the idea is that basically, 50,000 words, it's a good length. It allows you to be able to make something that's deep and long enough for people to enjoy, but it's not a fantasy doorstopper where it's 120,000 words and about this big. So the idea basically being is like, it's a great length. We all aim for it. 50,000 words. It's a lot of fun. But at the end of the day, the biggest satisfaction that I got out of it, even though I am happy that I wrote the 30,000 words that I did get in, I think that the word count sort of inspired some requirements to try and write fast, whereas that might present itself to be an issue later on when I have to go do edits. I don't know about that one. This is sort of a I'm not 100% sure what I'm supposed to get out of this lesson yet, the whole idea with the word count, but it could possibly present some issues down the road. So I would encourage you that if you are doing NaNoWriMo, or honestly any type of competition where you're writing a certain amount of words, keep that goal in mind, but it's not the most important thing in the world. And if you put it over certain things, it could actually cost you in the long run. But again, I don't know about that one. So that is sort of a kind of tip. The next one, however, is very, very important, and I highly recommend it. And that's the idea of enjoy some free refills. So what do I mean by this? So before NaNoWriMo, I knew that one of the things that I needed to make sure that I did is that I did not burn myself out. So by not burning myself out, it was going to require some breaks. When I started the month, I found it very difficult to get back into writing after a break. So what do I mean by free refills? The idea basically being is that the breaks while you're writing, because you're going to need to take them, they're very important. I wouldn't say get rid of those. But the breaks that you take while you're writing, try to find things that will bolster your creativity during that time. So instead of just sort of vegging out, watching, trash TV or, honestly, like instead of doing something like that, kind of try to find something to bolster your creative energy, whether that be writing something else, whether that be another creative pursuit. One of the ones that I found that was very useful and helpful was actually art. So in times where I was not 100% it wasn't 100% ready to move back into writing again, I would do just a little bit of drawing just to kind of take a little bit of a break from it, but at the same time, like, still continue to bolster some creativity there. And the idea behind the term free refill is that when you're using things to bolster your creativity, you're refilling your engine, you're refueling that creative power that is required to be able to write successfully. So for me, I kind of saw it as that, instead of going and buying another drink of something completely different, enjoy a free refill of the drink you're already enjoying. So that's what I mean by that. I don't know if that's a good analogy, but it worked for me. Maybe it'll work for you. The next topic is actually the complete opposite of that, and that is putting the writing away when you are not writing, and vice versa. So let me talk about that. When you are done writing for the day, you stop writing. That means that you try to divorce yourself from any other writing for the rest of the day. The idea with this was that when I found the days that I didn't write, sometimes were linked with I was just had a really busy work day, I was tired, all that kind of stuff. But then there were also other times where I wasn't feeling inspired and I wasn't feeling super excited to go back in because I didn't stop doing something related with that writing the previous day. So I spent the entire last day doing something related with the writing, and it felt like I worked everything. I didn't actually get a final I'm done for the day. So the idea is that when you are done, you're done. Put it all away, pack it up, don't think about it, put it in another room, all that good stuff. I actually found this to be very helpful when I was writing outside of my lovely abode, because I could close the laptop and I could get in my car and drive back home and sort of leave the writing on the laptop there. Here, I was able to write in this space and then I would leave and close that door. But the other side is also just as true. When you are writing, you need to completely separate yourself from everything else. You can't be also trying to think about work. You can't also be trying to think about family stuff or friends or social life or all that kind of thing. The key here is balance across the board. So when you aren't balanced and you aren't feeling like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, it can cause a lot of issues where you either feel like you're burnt out or you feel like the amount of time that you spent writing, you didn't actually get anything done because you were super distracted. But yeah. So ultimately, that's what I learned this NaNoWriMo. I learned how to write daily, how important it is to write together, how important it is to write alone. Word count isn't as important as I made it out to be myself, and what some other people make it out to be. Enjoy the free refills, meaning that during your small breaks, try to make it ways to bolster your creativity, relate them. Don't order another drink. Enjoy a free refill. And then lastly, balancing writing versus everything else. So put the writing away when you're done writing, and when you are writing, don't get distracted. So what's next? So I wanted to kind of talk about a little bit what this channel is going to look like after this, because obviously NaNoWriMo is over. But as I said before, I mean, Nano is kind of really the start. It's not an end. It's not the end all be all by any means. So going forward, I am going to continue doing more writing tip videos where you can learn about different topics and that kind of stuff. Some of this stuff is things that I've learned through trainings over November. Some of this is stuff that I've learned previously when I was writing my first novel about 10 years ago. In fact, the very first one is going to be next week, a video on characterization and creating characters and getting to know your characters, because it's one of my favorite parts of writing, and I love creating characters and learning about them and putting them in precarious situations. I've talked about it a little bit this stream, but also doing some art. I have this awesome 12.9 inch iPad Pro down here, which is pretty cool. And I want to make sure that I can fully take advantage of that. So in January, probably, I'll probably be doing some art streams to kind of just mix things up. Right now, the Nano site estimates that if I can kind of continue at the pace that I was going, I will likely be done with my first draft of the manuscript by the end of December, like a couple days before Christmas. But then lastly, I also wanted to kind of ask, what would you all like to see? I know that I don't have a massive audience, but it's a small audience, and an audience that has come back and watched all of these vlogs weekly, so I appreciate you all coming back. But what would you guys like to see? Would you like more writing tip videos? Would you like to see some art? Would you like me to talk about other stuff like video games or K-pop or all that stuff? I'm pretty open, so feel free to drop it down in the comments and let me know what you would like to see in the channel going forward. So on that note, I want to thank you all for watching. I want to thank those of you that watched all of the streams over this last month and taking part in NaNoWriMo. I hope all of you had a great time. I hope some of you learned some things. And if you did, please feel free to also share that down in the comments too, because I would love to know if I helped anybody out there. So yeah, with that, I will see you guys next week with my video on creating characters, and have a great one. Bye.